You are young, you are black, you are female. All these things are working against you. Now, I know you probably think I'm referring to you because guess what? Yes, you're young, you're black, and you're female. But that was not me talking to you. Those were words that were said to me when I was 19 years old and have contributed a lot to getting me to the highest levels in my career, higher than I imagined I'd be at this point. I know that sounds very counterintuitive because when you take the statement at face value, it sounds a lot like it's a lot of negatives, really. You are young, you are black, you are female. All these things are working against you. What I didn't say that, there was another statement after that. The full statement was, you are young, you are black, you are female. All these things are working against you, but you have to deal with it. I had just started working in the United Nations system in Zambia, as it was proudly referred to at the time. And the person who said these words to me was the regional chief of IT. His words were the best advice anyone could have given me in that moment. Understanding that others saw these three things as things that were working against me gave me an advantage that I still hold to this day. Because that made it easy for me to make those very three things become my superpowers. I've spent my 19-year career in the tech industry making those three things work to my advantage at every chance possible. Now, I could have elected to let the fact that I'm young, that I'm black, and that I'm female in a very male-dominated world where, you go into a conference and you're one of three females in a room full of 50 people. That is the tech world. It is how it was when I was in there. It's still very much male-oriented. But I didn't make it become a barrier. I explored and learned how those very things could become the accelerators for me to climb the professional ladder. I could have taken the route of complaining that a male superior was saying these things, but fortunately I knew that he wasn't saying them out of malice, but to prepare me for what he knew was to come, because that was the reality. The world traditionally did think that young people had no sense, some cases we still do, that black people are lesser than, and that females don't belong in certain fields like tech. The thing is, I couldn't change the fact that I was young. I was young. That's that. If you're 19, you're 19. Until time does its thing, it won't change. But even if you're 20, 21, 22, in the workplace, that's still considered very young. I was black. As you can see, I still am. That wasn't going to change. And I am female. Another thing I had no intention of changing. So I had to find a way of working with this reality. And you will have to find a way of working with that reality. You are young, you are black, you are female. Sitting in a corner and crying about it will not get you anywhere. And so I realized very quickly, and I changed. So here are some of the things you have to realize. For a while now, everybody has been talking about the potential of youth. Youth. Everybody, everywhere you go, youth, 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 youth. Everyone, especially now, is scrambling to fill the diversity quota with a black person. And for a while now, female empowerment has been the buzz. All these are opportunities for you. Make sure you're that youth. Make sure you're that black person. Make sure you're that female. And make sure that when somebody sees you as a young person, your work ethic and your personal character should remind them of that potential of youth that they keep hearing about. My first job included selling Norton antivirus disks. Now, I know some of you won't know what this means because antivirus is now just downloaded, but the older folks will know. And I was young. So that gave me the energy to walk up and down the length of Cairo Road day in, day out to try and sell these boxes, knocking on doors, asking companies if they had a computer. And if they did, I used that energy that young people have to try and get them to buy something from me. And if they didn't, I woke up the next day and I still had the energy to walk along Cha-Cha-Cha Road and do the exact same thing. When I got my next job, being young allowed me to climb masts, to put up Wi-Fi routers. I was clambering up, roofs, putting up solar panels. My older colleagues couldn't do that. They didn't have the power of youth on their side. So when somebody sees you as a young person, they should see the energy, the hard work that you bring, and make sure that that young person is the young person they want on their team. When somebody sees you as Black, the only thing they need to remember is that Black is the same as excellence. I can confidently challenge you today to go to any place I've worked at and ask for my work ethic history, and I can guarantee that everybody you meet, well, maybe one or two people, you can't always get everybody to acknowledge the truth, but I think everybody will tell you that I had work ethic like no other. I would not leave work undone. I would make sure my projects were done in an excellent manner. Projects to this day that 10, 15, 19 years later, people still remember as she worked on that project. And when they see a female, you'd better make sure that when you're done, they know that you were already powerful and you are not asking for female empowerment, but you simply want a level playing field. Let me tell you a story. In my early days at the World Food Program, I was sent to Namibia by the same regional chief I talked of earlier to work on a 2-week mission to set up the entire IT infrastructure for the new offices. They've got a new premises, somebody needed to run all the cables and phone systems, everything that goes with a new office in terms of technology systems. And so when I arrived and walked into the office, I found that the regional chief of logistics was also there. And when I walked into his office to introduce myself, the man threw a glance at me and declared, "And you are?" And I'd introduced myself, so I had to repeat myself. I am the technician that has come from Zambia to set up the network. I can't even adequately describe the look that that man gave me. But it was my very first taste of prejudice, and it was a horrible feeling. He went on to say that he knew they would send somebody from Zambia, but he had expected somebody else. I still don't know what that somebody else in his head was. But I had to put the emotions aside, brace myself, and tell him, I think his name was Pierre. Yeah, he was Pierre. I told him, "Pierre, I'm here for 14 days. If on the 7th day you still think that I can't do the job, please put me back on a plane home and have them send somebody who can actually get the work done." I abruptly turned and walked out. And then, friends, I worked. Guys, I worked. I was leaving that building knackered, but I would be back the next day grinding and ready to go again. By day 4, some things were already working and life was going on. I guess he forgot. I didn't. On day 7, I knocked on his door and popped my head in, and I asked if he still thought I couldn't do the job. And you should have seen the look on his face this time. I think he was feeling everything I had felt on the first day, because at this point, everything was working and I now just needed to tidy up, hide some cables, make sure that the racks were clean and neat, and train the staff who were going to be maintaining the infrastructure. I could guarantee you that in that moment, it was a small win for all the young women that he would have intimidated in the future, and he probably went ahead and continued because habits die hard. But at least he got a moment where he saw a young Black African female deliver work that was excellent. There was nothing special in that assignment. It was just an assignment. I was capable and I didn't need empowerment in the traditional sense that people say it. And look at you like you're helpless. I just needed to be given the same opportunity that another colleague would have been given. And the job got done. You need to harness all those things that people think are your disadvantages and turn them into your superpowers. Don't let other people's or society's definitions of what should be acceptable limit or frustrate you to the point of becoming incompetent. If you are the quiet, shy person in the back of the room in a meeting, and today's society only seems to notice those who speak the loudest, don't give yourself anxiety about the fact that you didn't say anything, because you just end up speaking for the sake of speaking, and that does you no favors. Instead, use that quiet power that you have to be the most observant, the most analytical, the most thoughtful person in that room, and write down the most well thought through business ideas or policy documents or radio interview questions or meeting summaries or whatever else it is, such that when you put it in front of anybody, they will think, wow, this is different, this is good, this is brilliant. That should be your goal. Your goal should not be to succumb to the pressures and try and think that because you are a certain way or somebody told you you're a certain way, it's a problem. It isn't. If your negative is that you are too sensitive, use that to develop your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence has been shown to be a key success factor in the workplace. Make sure that you're the one person that can motivate others, that can lead others, that can empathize, is self-aware, and you will excel. There are always two sides to a coin. What others see as a negative, you need to learn to turn into a superpower. Remember, you are young, you are Black, and you are female. All these things are not working against you. They are working for you.